Uh. Welcome to the Respectfully Great podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Reed, and today we have a wonderful episode scheduled. Today is actually our 49th episode, approaching that 50th episode, man. I'm super pumped, super static, and I want to give you guys a round of applause because we did this together. So, round of applause for you and us reaching this milestone of almost approaching 50 episodes. Now, what I want to do at this very moment, I have to do this. I want to give a big shout out to Jonathan. He's writing in the chat. It's my little man right here, man, and I love and I appreciate him as a person and and as a spirit. This young gentleman have so much wisdom at his age, and he's growing to be a wonderful young man. He says, "Yo, Johnny, what's up? My friends are watching with me. Number one fan. I appreciate you, Jonathan. I appreciate you and your friends. I hope you guys are doing wonderful in school because we always want to prioritize in your education. So long as you're learning and you are growing and you are learning from one another when it comes to your friends, you guys are playing together and understanding what it is to communicate amongst friends and have great dialogue. I think it shows a testament to how you were raised in your household with your family and your loved ones, and then as well as your friends and how they were raised in order to come together as friends and appreciate friendship. This day and age, we don't take friendship as serious, but it's like a pact, it's like an oath, and it says, you know what, I'm gonna be a loyal friend to you. You could be a loyal friend to me because we are open and honest with one another. Um, Jonathan says, "Thank you. I got the MVP yesterday for soccer. Wow, Jonathan. Oh man, I'm super proud of you. You said my grades. His grades went up. Uh, man. Elizabeth says, congratulations, Jonathan, within the chat. I'm super proud of you, man, and I want to champion you all the time. I want to let you know that you're doing a wonderful job and never stop, even if there's doubts that you may have when it comes to yourself or other people may say things that you don't like. Understand you can use that for fuel for your next go rounds to be better and better and better. That's the beauty of you continuously learning and growing as a young man, because the things you learned for yourself, you'll be able to teach to your siblings, be able to teach to your brother and your friends, and you guys can learn together. Is the and we will call that pretty much like a think tank where everybody comes together and they brainstorm and use their minds to come up with new innovative ways to do things. So I'm proud of you, and never stop learning, never stop growing. I think that is a beautiful, beautiful thing for you to go out there and strive in soccer and put your skill sets to the test. I was talking about that last week about skill stacking. The thing is that you carried over your education over to the soccer field because you haven't stopped learning and growing. And that's the beauty of how you can utilize your strengths for leverage. So continuously go out there and use your strength when it comes to leveling up your education while you're in school, as well as taking that out and carrying it over into other fields of areas where you want to be good and great at. So you carrying your education over, doing well in your education, your grades are going up, and you actually won the MVP. I am super, super proud of you. You know what? We're going to give you a round of applause as well for that. Man, I'm super pumped today. See, these are the things that allow me to want to be better, right? Watching a prime example right in front of us, a young man, Jonathan, he got the MVP yesterday. MVPs don't come from being lazy, not working. Most valuable player. And although it's a team effort, his teammates allowed him to be that great as well because they trusted in him and he trusted within himself. So these are the things that we learn to do in our environments, in our communities, or not do, and that can be a detrimental thing. You know how ironic is that today I labeled, or you know what, put the topic out there today at hand, which is called adapt or fade. This was inspired initially by some things I watched over the week, but this episode is dedicated to Jonathan and his friends and family members because he inspired me today to want to come with the best effort and give my best foot forward. So today's episode is dedicated to Jonathan, his MVP award, his teammates award, his friends award, because he embodies all of these things together. So super, super proud of you. Keep going out there and achieving and being um innovative in your ways and your approaches to be the best. Jonathan says, the mayor was proud of me and said to me, thank you for bringing Glen Cove to the finals. But I said, it was not me, it was my team. And I will send you the pitch. I will send you the pictures of them. Man, that's so powerful. See that mindset? Collectiveness, togetherness. This is some of the things that we miss out on our communities and in our environments. And he says that he misses me. I miss you more, my brother. He said it isn't the same without me here in Glen Cove. You know what? I'm always there in spirit. You have my phone number. You know, you can call me anytime. I have to come check some of your games out. I know I'm a little bit of a distance, but that doesn't stop us. I'm definitely going to show up to some of your events in the near future. I'm always rooting for you, even if I'm not there in spirit. I want to let you know that I'm always proud of you, and I know that you're going to be a wonderful example for other people to follow because you don't think about just yourself. You think about other people in the process, and you winning the award. You said it wasn't just me, it was the teammates. So I commend you on that. Other people recognize your greatness, the mayor, myself, your friends, your family, the school. There's a lot of people that recognize your greatness, and I want you to continuously strengthen that. You strengthen that by having some failures and say, you know, I'm willing to get up from my failure and to go out there and approach it with another new and innovative way to be a success, because it takes the knocking down, but more importantly, it takes you getting back up when you get knocked down. So that's the beauty of somebody understanding who they are. And at a very early age, you have a really, really good insight on what it takes to be a champion, and you doing those things. And we see champions in so many fields. We see them in sports. We see them in scholastic things when it comes to schooling. We see people be MVPs even in their friendships and their relationships because they build great relationships and friendships. It's because they allow themselves to be vulnerable, also allow themselves to be open, be honest, being transparent, being a leader, being a follower of great people that are great examples. So it's a combination of things that allow somebody to go out there and be a champion. Chris said, hello. Hello, Chris. How are you doing today? I will send you the address of my games, and our finals is Sunday. Finals is Sunday. What time Sunday? What time Sunday? Because I have a working schedule that I get off at 2:30. Um, Let me know the time, and we see how we can work around that. Because I definitely want to come to the game and root for you. You understand? Man, today's so powerful. This is the energy that I love to have. 9 a.m. 9 a.m. Okay, great. So what I see if I can make some arrangements to make sure I show up for that. I may call out sick, you know? We'll figure that thing out. Absolutely. Um, Today's wonderful. You know what I always do? We just started this, right? We started the drip check, the respect the drip check. So every day I want to come over here. I love fashion. I'm a fashion enthusiast. I have a clothing brand called Respectfully Great. There's so many innovative things that I love when it comes to creativity, expression. I think that is one key component when it comes to who you are, being able to express yourself. And I think one form of expression for me is definitely being able to wear some of the attires, some of the clothing. I think that the representation is just an outwardly thing, but I think all of the creativeness comes from within, and being able to find creative ways to express yourself. I think that is one of the keys of happiness. I'm gonna get into an example from some of the examples that I've seen and watched over the course of the week that I'm taking some examples from, and I think that's one of the things that popped up in today's segment that I would love to expound about is about finding that key happiness. So, as we always do, starting the new thing when it comes to the drip check, we're going to figure out what we have on far as when it comes to attire for today. So, starting with the headwear. Today, I have as the young ends, right? The YNs. I have on the Nike skull cap. Normally, we wear these things in the winter when there's events going on, sporting events to keep the head warm, using it as a fashion sense. I love to wear these headgears. I'm a person that love to wear a lot of headgear anyway, hats, scullies, uh, do-rags, etc. That's just some of the things I love to do. Starting off with the Scully. Here we go with these nice tinted hue on the frames. This is an orange, super innovative, super dope. I think it's super nostalgia. It gives off that eccentric look, something that's really, really aesthetically pleasing for myself. Here's the eyewear. Normally, people don't see me wear a lot of eyewear, although I have them, but I love to put them on now to make sure that I'm getting my eyes, you know, in unison to what my look and feel is like for today. Also, I have a button up um shirt here. Got the black with the pinstripe stripes when it comes to the red and the tan or brown per se. Um, in the background of the black. I think all of those colors mesh very well when it comes on this you could call it pretty much almost like a plaid stripe, etc. shirt. I think it gives off a real chill vibey. Of course, I got the white tee on, super dope. Right here with the boogers, we call them earrings. Got the boogers on there, nice VVS stones, quality, whatever you do, it's all good. Right here, super dope. Got the airwear on. Well, the earrings in. Also, coming into the wristwear, shout out to Lizzie for this. I got this maybe about 7 years ago. So I'm coming watch enthusiast as well. I love wristwear. I love time. I love to manage time. I love to see how we can sequence time. I love how we can do a lot of things surrounding around time. There's some new things that I learned about time that I was unaware of in the past, but now I'm understanding it from a different perspective. And I want to be able to utilize it the best way. In what way can we symbolize time without having a wristwear, a timepiece, something really I love. Here we got the Michael Kors chronograph watch. We have fluted bezel, gold, uh like a jubilee bracelet, super fiolini. I think this is dope. I think there's so many innovative things when it comes to jewelry and expression. And I think that passed down from kings and the queens at one time, people used to wear a lot of jewelry, and jewelry signify status. It's a raw material from the earth. These are things that people are mining right now. The gold prices and these raw materials are super expensive. They are costing a lot at this very moment because however they mining whatever, it's just the economy. It's always a demand for things, and there's always buying and selling. So depending on how the stock is moving for the day, the prices go up and they go down. But today, that is the fit, man. Let me know, rate the fit too, man. Let me know if you got some thumbs up, some 1 to 10. What you think the fit is like for today? I want to get really in tune to the look. Also, gaining perspective on what the people out there wearing. Actually, what are you guys wearing today? Let me know what you feel like, what type of drip you got on. How's the mood? Like, what's going on in your mind when it comes to the fashion sense? Are you somebody that's into fashion or don't really care about it? I think you can dress the occasion. I think depending on where you're going, I think depending on your mood, I think depending on how you feel, all these things are in combination to the things we put on and the things we um tend to buy or purchase. Sometimes people say, I don't care about any of it, you know, and that's your personal preference. For me, I love to look good because I think it's definitely a representation of how I feel. Kill, what's up? Top of the day, bro. Absolutely top of the eve, loved one. My brother Kill is in the building, doing this 1-2. Hope you chefing up something well, putting those great food platters together, man. Letting people taste what it's like to have great quality food. I think it's an art when it comes to everything that people do. When it comes to fashion, when it comes to cooking, cooking is a real skill. You know what, Kill? While we here, got my PJs on. Love the comfy vibes at home. Lizzie, that's how she feeling today. She on comfy time, chilling out, vibey. It said it's slow today, but I'm here grinding. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. It takes the dedication, the discipline. We was talking about this last week as well. Sometimes people don't want to devote the 5 years of obedience because we don't want to really say sacrifice, right? Because we don't want to sacrifice anything. We want to say we're doing these things out of act of obedience. So you being obedient. Last week we're talking about how obedient can we be for 5 years to set up the next 40. So even though today is a slow grind, the thing is that you're able to work through conditions that are not favorable to you. And I think that's the beauty that we can always find when things don't work out to our favor or things may seem a little uncanny at the moment. And it's like, you know what, how am I going to get through these things? I think it's a testament to who you are as a person and character. So there's so much beauty in finding the upside to things. Being an optimistic person. I love to talk about this thing. Hunter Wave King in the building. What's up, loved one? Saucy J in the building. What's up, loved one? Um, we have some beautiful people in the building tonight. Guidance to action. What's up, loved one? Lizzie in the building, Jonathan in the building. We have some wonderful, great, um, beautiful people and beautiful energies and spirits in the building tonight. When it comes to how we do things, I think I always like to look at things from an optimistic perspective because before I didn't tend to do that. Right, I used to look at things from a lot of negative perspectives, even though I didn't act it out outwardly. But we don't understand that our actions follow our thoughts. Let me say that one more time. A lot of times we don't understand and know that our actions are followed by our thoughts. So although I was thinking these things, thinking I'm not acting it out, it shows. It may not show in that instance when I deal with one thing right here, but it may show in another instance. So if I'm thinking about negative things, right, I may not outwardly disrespect someone, but I may take that out um in another way. It may be with me supposed to be doing a task, right? It may be with me doing something that I'm supposed to have some devotion and dedication towards. I may neglect that because right now my spirit is not aligned with who I really want to be, and I'm disturbed. My energy is off, and I got some things that's troubling at the moment. On the wave king say, yes, sir. Good blockers. Absolutely, love one. Good blockers going. Come on, love one. Who know about the blockers? Let me get the buzz. Let me get the buzz. Come on, love one. Buff season. You feel me? Good vibe. This will be on. My brother, I shout out to Hunter Wave King too. My brother, he one of them individuals get dressed to stay fresh. Just to sit in the living room, like Two Chainz said. One of them boys, man. He do it to the, you know, do it to the unalive. And man, my boy, he do this for real. He put that thing on, put the SHIT on. And that's why I get a lot of inspiration from, because my brother do some things that make me want to go out there and say, you know what, put that drip on. You feel me? Just get fly. Let's put that on. One for one. One or none. None to come. You dig? That's my boy right there, man. 100 Wave King. I love you unconditionally. Today, today's a real free spirited conversation. It was followed by some of the things I just thought up. I didn't really have nothing ideally to say. I'm coming here with this premise, but there are a lot of things that speak to me when it comes to when I do get on the platform. The energy tends to turn towards whatever my heart is feeling in the moment. And I love to connect genuinely coming from an organic place. Although we know things can be organized, it can be set up. And I think those are great things to be prepared, great things to make sure that you complete the task. But I love to come from angles to where I'm being organic or authentically me. And I think that's where I love to lay my foundation, the spirit at. Hunter Wave King said, yes, sir. He said, that's what we do. Love you more. Absolutely. My brother Kill says, there's a saying in the kitchen. Make sure your first dish goes out like the last, meaning you put love into every dish you put out. Keep the same energy all the time. That is powerful, family. That is power. You know what's for the gym? Let's do the chimes. Where my chimes at? Where is the chimes? Get the chimes. Yeah, I do the chimes for when there's things that's super enlightening, right? When I feel a sense of enlightenment, I love to put those chimes out there as far as that energy. You're absolutely right, family. Put your first dish out like it's your last. You only as good as your last. So you know what that means to me. It speaks to me in a very, very um keen, open and honest way. It feels like to me when I hear things like that, it makes me understand that the job is never done and it's a continuum, meaning that you have to show up and do the thing no matter what the conditions are. You have to show up and put out your best, even if you're feeling sickly at the moment. You have to put your best out even if you don't have all of the ingredients to make that special sauce. You might have missed, the butter. You might have missed some parsley. You might have missed an egg. You might have missed something in the ingredients, but you still got to get this dish out. You may be limited on the paprika. You may be limited on some other sauce or condiments that you thought you had in the cabinet, but you couldn't put that sauce together the way you love to put that sauce together. But you saying, you know what, we still going to put out this dish the best way we can, from the first dish going out to the last dish. So you're giving 110% effort no matter what. And I think that right there in itself, that approach, that mindset is the shift that we need in our communities today. Because a lot of times we can get really, really complacent. We can really not care because things aren't to our liking. And I think that's where we can get held up. I think that our progression is stopped. I think that our trajectory is limited. I think that when they say the sky is the limit, we only reaching the ceiling within the home because we can't see that far, because we get discouraged along our journey, because we think that everything is supposed to be cookie cutter, everything's supposed to be the same, everything is not supposed to have flaw. And we don't understand that in order to get perfection, flaw is necessary. We need cause and effect to make things actually work. So when things aren't working, that is the perfect breeding ground for things to gain understanding, to gain some leverage, to gain some insight that you never had before. And I think that is the beauty within being in the kitchen and cooking the first meal and preparing it the first as if it was the last. I think that being able to have that mindset surrounding around doing things, I think there's so much power within that belief system. And I think it starts in so many ways. Shout out Ellie in the building, my sister's in the building. My brother said the job is never done. Got to be productive every day and find a way to make things better. You said something very, very key. Find a way to make things better. Find a way to make things better. How about we do the job of finding ways to make things better? Because conditions, if they left by themselves, there's a word called um when it turns to disorder and chaos. What is the terminology? Atrophy, disorder and chaos. So atrophy is as if you take a muscle, um, and the muscle just deteriorates over time. What is the other word? Not atrophy, something with an A, but the terminology is called turn to disorder and chaos. So, prime example, right? If you leave a flower outside and you never water the flower is going to deteriorate. If you never put the flower in fertilized soil or good soil, it would never grow. Everything, you take a piece of metal, you sit it there. Over time, it will rust. It will rust. It will decay. So what does that mean? If we're not doing things and impeding things with an outside force, us being ourselves, if we're not doing things to continuously drive who we are, what we are, to push to those next levels, if we just stay the same, things don't get better by staying the same. Things don't get better just by staying the same. It atrophies. It turns to disorder and chaos. It deteriorates. So, in order for our minds, our bodies, our spirits, we just can't go through the day and say, you know what, I'm gonna treat yesterday as if it was today. Because what you actually doing is deteriorating. You're becoming worse off than better because you just stayed the same. So, what does that mean for us in our evolution of us as humanity and people? That means every day we have to look for progression. We have to be progressive. Our approaches have to be with innovation and say, you know what, I want to be better than I was yesterday. I don't want to be the same as I was yesterday because I know if I stayed the same, I would deteriorate. So that means that you have to have an approach and impede that with some outside influences. So that means for yourself, what outside influences are you bringing to you in order to bring the best out of you? Of course, we know things come from within, but we have to find who we are within and then act that thing out outwardly. But if we don't continuously build up who we are, connecting more to who we are when it comes to spiritually, who we are when we connected to who we are, when it comes to our morals and our belief system and our work ethic, when it comes to us wanting to be better. How do we ever do that without taking from other things to allow us to be better? If we're not reading, if we're not studying, if we're not working with our hands, working with our minds, connecting, communicating, if we're not doing these things and we say, you know what, I'm not going to do anything today, you think we get better? Nah. The universe have a way of reminding us that you're only good as your last. The last output is pretty much where your standard is for today. So if we want to keep a low standard for ourselves, just don't do anything and keep dropping the bar. And you sure to do that. You won't raise the bar if you just actually stay the same. So what do we have to do? We have to continuously raise the bar. We got to continuously push ourselves and push ourselves more and more in the areas where it has to strengthen us. Sometimes it may get a little bit uncomfortable. Uncomfortability is your friend. See, most times we avoid uncomfortability because we start to get challenged. We start to get looked at. Now we may get, put on the hot seat. Now you're going to be put to the test. Hey, all of that work that you've been doing, all of that studying you've been doing. Hey, you know what? Did you get a good grade on your test? Well, we're going to see if you were studying. We're going to see, oh, how much are you engulfed in in your skill, well, in your expertise, how in your field of expertise, how much are you really engulfed in that? Are you really in the kitchen? Kill. If your meals keep coming out terrible, you like, man, I know I'm missing something. I've been doing this for a long time, but are we just doing the same thing, or we keep coming up with more ways to make this meal prepared better and taste better? So that comes to, you know what, you can sense the love when somebody put it into their food because you could taste it. You could taste the love of someone being in the kitchen taking pride in what they preparing. And I know you experience that all the time when people come and have your meals and he's like, oh man, this right here was something special. What you do to it? And you say, you know, I made it with love. I made it with love. I did something that I do often, that I practice often. You know, today I just put an extra sauce in it because it was extra love in that meal. I took my time. I was patient, you know, and I really put thought and innovation into it. And I was a creative in the kitchen, and I prepared this last meal like as if it was my first. My brother Akil says, always push to be better than yesterday. Stay focused and positive. Next meal gotta always be better. So you keep them coming back. Absolutely. That's how we keep them coming back. How's the meals prepared? How are you prepared? How are you prepared in your life? What are the things you're doing in your life to make sure that you are prepared to go out there and, you know, leave a legacy worthwhile for people to study, to watch, to want to take tips and tricks from, to say, you know what, man, I seen he or she have done today. I've seen how they broke through and they trailblazing in an area where most people say there's no growth at because, you know, the powers that be run this segment or whoever. We don't understand that there's change always happening around us. And you can be part of the change or you can be like the disorder and chaos and stay still. You can be the person that just deteriorates mentally, physically, spiritually. And then we wondering why the bar is set so low is because we're not pushing in those areas to grow. So you can be like that by choice. Nobody's forcing anybody to do anything. But I know that we all put on this planet for a purpose. And I know that we all put on this planet to do great and wonderful things. Sometimes it takes us a while to figure out what that thing is because along our journeys we were discouraged. There were people saying that, you know what, you're not built like that. There were environments that wasn't favorable. You know, me and Lizzie was talking earlier and we were talking about environments and we was talking about just career choices and paths that we tend to explore, and we were talking about some things amongst ourselves. And she said something along the lines around, you know, the environment you grow up in matters. And I said, you're right. It does matter. The environment that you grow up in matters because there are some opportunities that may bypass you depending on what environment you came from. Not saying that we can't acquire those opportunities once we start understanding the changing that has to happen with ourselves when it comes to mindset, to putting ourselves in favorable. There was somebody that said this too. He said, "Put yourself in miracle territory." I forgot where I heard it at. I got it written down somewhere. But he said that part of life and success and living out our purpose is that we got to put ourselves in continuous miracle territory. So what that means, we got to put ourselves in position for miracles to happen, meaning that are we going to be astute in our practices if we not putting ourselves in the field or surrounding ourselves with what it would entail for us to be that great in that field of expertise? Like Jonathan, the reason why he's a success in soccer is because he practices soccer every day. He around friends that play soccer. He around great coaches. He around great supporters. He around people that are transparent enough to tell him the truth because they love him. So they say, you know what, you did poorly on this today. You know what, your grades are suffering. So was your performance on the field. So in order to perform better out there, you know what? You can't even go to practice until your grades are right. So first, all these things have to be synchronized. The grades got to be right in school. So now we go out to the field so we can practice, we can get better. And then before you know it, we are experts in the field in the areas that we choose to showcase our talents. Now you have a sense of leverage and skill set that you can stack on one another to go out there in the field to impact other people's lives for the better, because ultimately we do things maybe from a self-centered perspective, right? Sometimes we just going out there in the world saying, "No, I'm doing this because this is what I want," and by all means, that's great because that's where it starts at. Do it because you want to do it, and then after that, after you acquire the thing for what you want, now your maturity has to, advance. You have to get a little bit more mature in your approach. So now it comes from initially doing the thing that you want to do because you're looking for change. Now it's about how many other lives you can change. I know I hear some things from other people that do philanthropy work, and they go out there and they do acts of servitude, and they want to help other people. And they say, you know what makes me the proudest is that I'm able to change other people's lives. I've done the work to change mine. Now I'm able to go out there and make other people's lives better because of the things that I've acquired, the knowledge that I acquired, the work that I put in, the people I connected with, the relationships I built, the discipline and the hours that I put in from the 5 to 9 hours, not the 9 to 5 hours, from the after work hours. I put those overload hours in because I worked on me, and I continuously worked on me. I worked on my craft. I worked on my discipline. I was in the gym. I was exercising my mind. Shy, what's up, loved one? Shy in the building. Peace, family. Unlimited love, God. You know that. So now these are the areas where we can just start learning about ourselves. This is where we can be fully transparent. Look ourselves in the mirror. Say, you know, who are you? Who are you? For real. When nobody else is looking, when nobody else is around. Nope, you don't have to wear the hats because somebody else told us to wear this hat. When nobody else is around, you can look yourself in that mirror and you can get real honest with yourself. And you say, you know what? Am I who I desire to be? Right? Am I in the place in life of where I want to be at? Okay, if I'm not, how do I make those changes? Can I be open and honest with myself? Okay, this is time to be fully transparent. Okay, what are the necessary things that you have to do that you've been avoiding? Because your dreams, your wishes, your thoughts, your prosperity is on the opposite end of that pillow, opposite side of that pillow. The things that you don't want to do, the things that you're avoiding, is really where your success is going to come from. Let me say that one more time. Our success is going to come from the areas from where we avoid the most, because that's what it's going to take for us to get us from here to there. My brother Shah said, really sets in when you look in that mirror. Absolutely, loved one. It really sets in when you look in that mirror. A lot of times it's hard for people to do because the perception. See, we live in that perception. And sometimes we get caught up in our law so much, in that character so much, that when we look in ourselves, we start to deny ourselves or who we really are because we caught up in the character. See, when I heard something from the Danza Project, he was on there with Ankasa, and Danza Project, Ankasa said, "Yo, like Danza, like who is Danza when Danza ain't Danza on the Danza show? When the cameras and lights are off, you go home. Are you Danza?" And Danza said, "Nah, I'm a great husband. I'm a great father. I'm all these other roles. I'm not Danza." And of course, that is a part of me, right? We're not denying self, right? Because we wear these hats when we show up on these platforms, in these areas, in these work environments, these business ventures. How we going there and perfecting our craft? There's many things that we have to do in order to acquire the thing. But then when no one else is around, at core, do you identify with who that person is in the mirror? Because I think that is the true you, right? We have Coach Lucky always said that there's the you, the avatar body that people are familiar with, and then there's the true you, the self, the I am, the person that talks to you when nobody else is talking back, that voice you hear in your mind when nobody else is speaking to you. Because we all have that other voice. We have that voice that's speaking right now. Everybody hear this voice, right? And then we have those thoughts where they're speaking to you as well. So those thoughts, who are those thoughts? Who's that inner I am? That consciousness from within. Who's that person? Once we start understanding who that person is, ooh, things will start to come together really clear. Things will start to get crystal clear on purpose and premise. Although things may not be right there at the forefront, right? But they give you direction. And it says, you know, what do I really connect with? Where am I supposed to be at? How does this thing right here affects me? And we could get true understanding. Not because everybody else raised their hand in the class and you feel compelled to raise your hand because you don't want to be the oddball. But when everybody else is raising their hand, you really don't feel what everybody raising their hand about. You say, I'm gonna keep my hand down because I don't feel the way everybody else feel. That's what starts to come out of you when you start to look yourself in the mirror and be open and honest and being truthful. And I think that's where the character build comes in at. I think that's when maturity comes in at. I think that's where we start to put ourselves to the test and say, you know what, can you do this thing right here continuously? Can you show up for yourself? Because you know what, something so powerful. I heard this from Say Cheese, Sean Cotton, right? So someone is actually interviewing him, and normally he's the one that's behind the camera interviewing other people. So he said something that's so powerful, and he said that when it comes to his profession, and he says, well, I've been doing this since I forgot how long. He's been doing this for a long time now, right? He said, but yo, you know what gets me up out of my bed every day? He said, you know what drives me every day to get up and do what I do. He said, yo, it feels like I let the people down when I don't post, when I don't give that energy, when I don't come up and be my best. I feel like I let the people down because they come checking for me. They come to be dependent on the energy I bring to the forefront. So we got people that's coming to you for a service and they showing up for you. That mindset of you not wanting to show up for them, you do a disservice. That's not an equal fair exchange. Now you're doing a disservice. So why should you be worthy of being in that position or that seat if you're not willing to show up when there's other people that's willing and dying to have that or everybody's the terminology because they get crazy with that, right? But there are people that are yearning to get in that position to say, you know what, only if I had that platform, only if I had that voice, the message that I would put out there would be so impactful. The people that have these millions of listeners, and it's not about just the number. I'm saying that the potential to affect other people's lives in that magnitude, right? And just do it in a way where you just can connect just by having that thought, that perspective, to be able to put that message out there. I think it's so impactful. So he said, when I get up, right, and I don't do my job, I feel like I let the people down. And I'm like, wow, I understand that. I understand that. That's more motivation for me. I took that for me, like, yo, do the things that you don't want to do. On the opposite side of that pillow, the things that you avoid is really where the success gonna come from. That's where you really build the character at. That's where you start to get so familiar with who you are, knowing who you are, that when things come to you, you know how to discern, well, what's good for me, what's not good for me. You can know what to engage in, what to disengage in. I'm not easily tempted. Before I used to be very, very tempted. Not saying that I'm a person without. I'm not a person that's without flaw, have flaw, right? But I don't consider myself being flawed because I look at even my flaw a way for me to get perfection, because it's all about perspective. So my flaw is really a gateway for me to go to get perfect, right? So I don't look at things from a flawed perspective, but I look at these things from a perspective just saying, you know what? How do I grow? How do I grow? How do I make that necessary change in order for me to get to where I need to get to? And I think that's the power that we all possess when we start looking at life from that perspective, to saying, you know what, no matter what's going on in the world, I have a job to do. And as much as I'm dependent on for me to do it, there are other people that's seeking that as well. Because now you're in that driving seat for people want to come to you for that thing that you do. Shy, DJ. People come to you for DJing. Akil, people come to you for cooking. Ellie, people come to you to change their credit. People looking for your expertise. So how do we show up in these fashions? We know that there's a job to do, right? Initially, we want these things to make sure that we fulfilled. But now that once we get that fulfillment for ourselves, now it's obligation to go out there and fulfill the people, because we are here to connect by way of that. This brings me into topic at hand, right? I'm glad we got there. What we do for other people. How do we show up for the people? So I was watching the show over the weekend, right? Um, with Will Smith. People may be really, really familiar with it. Lizzie brought it to my attention, and then we started to watch it. Started to really, delve into the things that he was doing for while he's traveling the world. So on this show, he is called Pole to Pole. So ideally, saying one pole to the other pole of the earth, right? So he's traveling to a lot of remote places, places that are very, very hard to get to, and he's amongst the people. Let me say that one more time. He's amongst the people, and cooking to help with they car, cooking, cooking and help with they cars. If I'm saying that right, beloved. Yep. Hope I'm saying that right, Akil. Let me know if I'm on target. I get tongue twisted. I get tongue twisted. Um, so Will Smith was I was on Disney. Yes, it's on Disney. Ellie is on Disney. So good. Absolutely. It's so profound, right? That was a wonderful, wonderful show. So Lizzie put me onto it. We sat down, we were watching the shows, and it made me really think about perspective on how we live our lives. Sometimes we are so fortunate that we miss out on the small things and we take a lot of things for granted. So there was one individual, right? He was from an island, a small island in the Pacific, in the middle of the Pacific. Affordable car rentals. What's up, loved one? Black in the building. So his island was a very, very small island. I think the occupants were, I think, like only like 100 people. And the last time they were there, over 2 years, they haven't been back to their home because there were big waves that took over the land, that was just kept, washing over their land. Right, the land isn't that big, so all the people that was on the land, they had to move for that time being, and they haven't gone back within 2 years. They end up going back, I think, within 2 years to their homeland, and a lot of people that's in surrounding areas tell them, yo, listen, this area here, your land is going to be washed away in due time. It may not be right now, but the tides are continuously rising. Your land is getting smaller, smaller because the water is taking your land over. So in due time, you're gonna have to make the move. The land was called Trench. Trench is a trench. Yes. Initially, it was called Trench, right? Well, the original name is Inusis, but the Nusis were from the Aboriginal people that occupied the land. So it was called, what's up, Jack? Jackie in the building. The land was called the Nusis. That was the original Aboriginal name of the people from that land. So there was settlers, other people that come along, just came and gave them the name Trench. So they've been saying the name Trench for so long, on that land. They thought that their land was named Trench. Meanwhile, there people from that land still speak the original language. The ones that are on that land, just give you some background, the ones that are on the land, the elders, right? You think of 100% of somebody being um culture, language, etc. Imagine somebody being 100% fully fledged within their culture, their way of life, their language, etc. The eldest people in their land only spoke in custom and only had about 20%, I think, of their custom, right? I may get the numbers wrong, but it wasn't nowhere near 50, 40. It was like a very, very small percentage of what they had of their own land. Shine, what's up, loved one? So what that means is that culturally, right? Sometimes if we don't pass these things down and hold on to culture, customs, these things can get lost. There was a linguist that was on that island trying to help preserve the people, right? And I'm gonna get back to how the lamb's taking over. I'm gonna get back because I'm jumping around a little bit, right? But there's a linguist that's trying to help preserve the people, their culture and customs. So what she's doing is she's going around and she have a little machine and having the people of the land record their language, say the words and what they mean, etc., to really, really try to preserve it. She says something that was super alarming. And she said that um every 2 weeks in the world that we living in, there's a language that is lost. Mm, mm. Let me say that one more time. Every 2 weeks in the world that we are living in, there's a language that existed at one point in time is being lost. So we think about that, right? Imagine the customs, the things that we learned within our own families, right? Imagine within a 2 year or in a 2 week span, you no longer have the language that you speak. In 2 weeks from now, you no longer have the culture that you once or thousands of years that your people are held on to. You lost the language, you lost the food, you lost the culture. What would you have as a person if all of these things were lost? So it made me think about a lot of the things that we take for granted, the things that we get ourselves involved in, the things that we seem to prioritize in that may not have that much meaning. It's like we all in this world chasing things, right? And it's like, well, do we have the things at core that are most valuable more than the things that we chase when it comes to materialistic things, right? Do we have our customs in check? Do we have our culture in check? Do we have our language in check? Do we know enough of these things to pass down generationally so that our loved ones, our children, and the future of our communities hold on to these things? So when I thought about that, I said, imagine being stripped away of your culture, everything that you know of having and doing and being stripped away within 2 weeks. What would you have? So for me, it was like a wake up call to the job that I have to do as a person, meaning that as humanity, who I am as a person, as a melanated black man, right? in America, I have to say to myself, you know what? Like, who are you? Aboriginal. Who are you at core? Who are your people? What do you look like? What are your customs? What are the things that pass down through language? Even if it's just starting within the household, because that's primarily where it starts at. Are we connected with our elders? What are our elders talking about? What about our parents, our grandparents, if we're still lucky to have some of these elders around? Because once they go, those culture customs are gone. And there are family jewels that may be passed down uh, um, through history that we may not get privy to. So we will forever be lost in that area because we don't know what to hold on to. We're not having these conversations. We're not having these powwows. We're not building with one another. We're not having the grandkids around the grandparents. We're not having each other around, like just being around one another. Family time, bonding time, just sharing our thoughts and our ideas about who we are, and where we intend to go. As technology and stuff advance, we like, okay, one aspect is a great thing because we can do things that we wasn't able to do prior. But then when we start losing sight of who we are culturally as a people, there's some things that would disconnect us from humanity. And then now everything will be, self-fulfilling. Everything will be self-centered. Everything will be from a cynical perspective. Everything that we're doing, which is me, all about me. And then I think that's where the disconnect will come from, even your loved ones, culturally, from family, from humanity. When we stop thinking about us as people and we just think about self-fulfilling prophecies, doing everything just self-fulfilling. And I think these are the things that reminded me from watching that sub Carmen in the building substance. When I watched that show with Will Smith, when he started going to different areas, there was one lady. What was that lady? Not in Nepal. Where was she at, Lizzie? She was up far in the mountains, right? It was the Himalayas. She can't. She'll find it. But somewhere that's my moderator over there. Lizzie, shout out to moderator Lizzie. Woo, woo. What's happening? So if she finds that's dope. You have a moderator. The reason why I got the moderator, so anything I need to Google research, she'll tell me, yo, this is blah 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 blah. I'm gonna get a mic soon. So now she come on, she'll be like Godfrey in their shows, etc. But yeah, so there was one part of the somewhere high up in the mountains, and they had really, really rough winters. And the lady was saying, I lost everybody. She lost a mother, lost a father, lost all of her siblings. How she lose her siblings? I, yeah, so she said that one winter it was just so cold that it got that her siblings, like three or four of her siblings had froze to death because of the conditions from where they live at. And that's all they know is being and living in that environment. And she said that the hardest thing that they have to go through is not having food for the winter. So during the seasons that is not winter, they got to harvest and be able to collect a lot of firewood to make sure that they froze to death. You're right. They had to they had to harvest a lot. They had to cut a lot of firewood in order to have warmth because once you run out of that, the temperatures are below freezing. So a lot of people in that area they die of not having the food, not having the resources when it comes to food, and not having just simple warmth. So you think about those people, the one condition that majority people in their community pass from, and the sin is from not having the proper conditions of warmth. And we cozy in our homes and we could take that for granted. Meanwhile, that's a life or death situation for those people living in the mountains without those resources. So it started to make me think about all of the things that I'm privileged to have. So I started looking at life just this week alone. It just was a reality check that made me think about, hey, you're really privileged. Stop thinking about the things that you don't have and start saying, you know what, although I'm gifted to have these things, of course, I would love to acquire more, to help more and do more, right? Because I think that if we don't push for a better tomorrow, then we're not doing our job from what we given, right? A lot of times we are in fortunate positions. We have roofs over our head. We have our limbs. We able to go out there and work. We have all of our faculties, our mental faculties. We can think. That means that you're blessed. There are some people in dire positions that don't have that leverage that you have. So for us not to go out there and exercise our leverage, we do a disservice because there are people that will wish they would give everything that they have and own just to be in your position. But we take our position as a misfortune because we got the comparison thing, comparing ourselves to other people. And that could be detrimental to our community. It could be detrimental to ourselves. That could be detrimental to our family. That could be detrimental to humanity. keeping up with the Joneses. Why do I have to be like the next person? Because we looking at what we don't have as if we have a misfortune, not knowing that we are gifted because of the things that we already possess. We are blessed. Say it again, Lizzie. Bhutan, Bhutan. Yeah. So it's so many things that I watched. Like I said, from that, um, a comment says we all need to be more appreciative for what we have. Absolutely, family. Absolutely, family. You need to be way more appreciative. Jonathan says, I'm back. Your son, loved one. We got to be appreciative because there are a lot of things that we take for granted. And I know there were times in my life where I've done that a lot. So what I do now is I hit my knees and I pray to make sure I give up the glory to the Most High, because I know that without having God as a presence in my life and recognizing what God looked like and how God worked through things for me continuously, that means that I got a job to do because He already provided me just being able to wake up. You know what? Rest in power, cuz I just lost another loved one this week. And it seems like every week I come on here and I say rest in power to somebody, rest in power. You know, um, these are real things. We have a lot of loved ones that may not be here tomorrow. So you included, we included in that equation. Say it again, Lizzie. Liar, liar. Not Bhutan, it was liar. Okay. And what mountain is it? Well, what area? Himalayas? Okay. More snow. Okay, so we was on target. The area where that lady saying that just having that warmth and being able to collect that firewood, it was Laya. So the area was in the Himalayas. It was a little further up. And it was still in Bhutan, but there's an area that's higher up than that. It's called Laya. How much? 13,000 feet in altitude. Very hard to breathe when you get that high up. So many things that, think about how you're able to harvest, just being able to plant, being able to, uh, you know, get food. What can you possibly do up there that far up in the mountains? People are still surviving, because a generation over thousands of years that people been there. They've been the habits of that land. But think about just the climate alone. Just for survival, they fight in the climate. And we in the areas in our lives where that mean, even though we're dealing with climate change, but being able just to walk into a warm home, you're blessed. So these are the things I'm talking about. Jonathan said, may I please join the live? So this one, Jonathan, we will do a live, right? This one here is the actual podcast that go on YouTube, but the live, I don't know how to connect the live like I used to do the Instagram lives. Although I'm on Instagram, my feed is going from StreamYard to Instagram and to YouTube. So I'm using the streaming platform to actually do the live today. I'm not strictly on Instagram where I was able to add a participant. I don't have that option from here for what I see. I could look into it, but we can do. I don't mind ever doing a live, which we can do a live whenever we have the free and open opportunity. We can do that. We can go on live and we can talk and we just can have great dialogue from where you are and your scholastic when it comes to school, your sports. I think that'd be a wonderful thing. And have your friends come up as well. And we could do a youth day to where we have all of the youth come up. I think that is a beautiful thing. Ellie says the mindset is different for the ones that walk with faith than those that walk in fear. Suppressive thinking is put upon us. It's up to us to push past those thoughts and truly be grateful. Absolutely, sis. Absolutely. I think I have to reiterate. I have to say that one more time. The mindset is different for those ones that walk with faith than those that walk in fear. Suppressive thinking is put upon us. It's up to us to push past those thoughts and truly be grateful. That's powerful, powerful, powerful. Man, I swear that you hit these things right out the park. And a lot of times we can be disconnected from it because of those ways of thinking. So we have to do a reprogramming. We have to start actually reprogramming our minds to start being on more thought-provoking things that can help our community and help ourselves. Where do we adapt these philosophies from? Where does the ideologies come from? Where is these theories coming from? Who's feeding us this knowledge on how we need to operate within our lives? Right? Who are we watching? Who feeding us this information? Because we know in this world that we living in, there are people that have agendas, right? There are people that have motives. And if people don't have the right motive for you, they can be misleading and they can lead you down a path to where we are, I'm kind of lost and we don't know what direction to turn and we don't know who to trust. So I think building that relationship within oneself and then building it within the household, building with our loved ones and having those trusted advisors around you for people that love you enough to tell you the truth, it starts to get a little bit more clear. We can wean out the noise. Um, Steve Jobs said signal to noise ratio. Signal to noise. Yeah, signal. Did I say it right? Noise. Yeah, signal to noise. Ratio. Noise is the distraction. Signal is the focus that we have. When we start to put more focus into the things that we know would advance us as a people, and we start taking away those things that don't really align us with our purpose, then we start to see things around us change. So there's a thing that I call it for me. He call it the signal to noise. I call it my combination codes. There's a sequence of things that I do every day to make sure that I'm in alignment, that I connect and be able to walk with that faith, like my sister was talking about, right? And not have that suppressive thinking, not being limited in my thoughts and my perspective, not that stinking limited thinking, right? To avoid those type of things. I find things that I need to attract myself towards everyday routine as a ritual to make sure that I'm connecting and I'm being more in alignment of staying on that path of progressiveness, right? So for me, just give you some examples. The thing that I do every day is to make sure I give my praise to the Most High. I haven't always done that, even I was in positions where I needed it the most. Because I'm like, you know what, that this ain't real, that ain't real. I disconnected, so I was led astray. Um, I was led astray from who I needed to be in real time. So what I started to do is I said, you know what? Well, what sequence of things can I do every day to make sure that I'm in alignment of who I am and what I need to be? So I started to hit the knees, pray. I started to read every day. I started to hit the gym every day. Well, most of the time, a few times out of the week. And I said, if I do these things routinely every day, that means that I'm getting some piece of information that I need in order to put me in alignment of who I want to be ideally. So now when it comes to distractions, I can avoid those things because I can primarily focus on my health. I can focus on getting connected with God. I can pick up some level of education so my mind and my brain don't atrophy. It doesn't turn to disorder and chaos, and it doesn't deteriorate. So me picking up a reading material, reading something, watching something, learning something every day, so the brain doesn't shut down. So I said, if I keep my brain going, keeping the mind going, if I keep my physical going, working on my physicality, exercising every day, and if I get spiritually connected and I'm walking with God every day, those are the three primary things I need every day. I got my mental, I got my physical, and then I got my spiritual. So if I could get those three things in for me every day, my day is already a winner. I won for the day. Of course, there's more things I need to do, but I had to set my combination codes. I had to get my signal to noise ratio right. Every day, those are my combinations to make sure that I'm in alignment to who I want to be. And you can find those same sequence of things that you need to bring into your life. Sharanja, what's up, love? You can find things that you can do to bring into your world to make sure that you're in alignment to who you want to be. Okay, today I want to wake up to be a better parent. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna focus. I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna get that phone call and tell my children if they're not around me, I love them. I do that with my mother every day. I don't take my parent for granted. So what I do, I get up on the phone every morning. And what's up, my beautiful mother? I love you. I got that in. I make sure I connected with my loved ones and do that with everybody else that I love, that I'm in communication with daily. Because we know, like the loved ones, when I say rest in power, they're not here. So the same ones that we wish we could have connected with one more time, they're not here to do so. But we can make the effort today, whatever it is that you feel you want to connect with and bring into your world. So it starts with you. So once you start getting yourself in a position, in a place to be open and honest with you, then you'll be able to be open and honest with other people. And then now you guys can build a community of love, then build a community of trust, being a community of servitude. I was listening to my brother Tenzin the other day, and he was talking about, yo, listen, I got some extra days. I gotta, because we were talking about business, and He's very, very skillful. He had a plumbing trade. He's going back to school for HVAC, and he was talking about he said in his community he's from Nepal, and he was saying that in his community a bunch of his brothers was like, "Yo, start your own business, start your own business, start your own business." And he said, "I know, although I know I can do it, right? He just don't want to do it because he's don't for whatever reason he don't want to do it, right? But um his skill sets are what was my point? I was going somewhere. I'm still talking about him. I'm get back to it. They wanted him to start his business, right? He said they didn't want to do it, but oh, his education thing, right? I'm talking about the noise signal. No, there was something else I wanted to hit. It was a good point. I missed it. I missed it. I missed it. It'll come back to me though. It'll come back to me. But although, just him providing for his community, acts of servitude. There we go. Everything comes back in the way it's supposed to. So the premise of me telling you that is that he said I'm going back to school because he said, my community, they wanted him to start a business, right? And his friends were telling him within his community, they need somebody within a community to have the trades of HVAC technician, being a plumber, etc. And he going back to school to be HVAC. So we was talking the other day. He said, you know what? I'm gonna take a few days off and I'm gonna go do some work within my community because I know there's some help that my loved ones in my community need. He said, I do this work because I know they need it and I don't charge them. So when I'm talking about acts of servitude, he got these built up trades, and although he can charge for them from his premise, he said, "Yo, I got enough." He told me that the other day. He said, "I got enough. I make enough money. I don't need it all." He said, "My family is straight. I own my home. My daughter's right. I'm happy. I'm just going to school to further my education so I can do more acts of servitude within my community because I do it for free." Man, if that wasn't some of the most powerful things I heard, and I sat back and I'm listening to him. And one good thing, one thing about like Tenzin, he's one of those individuals. If you talk and you feel like you tuned out, he gonna cut conversation, and that might be the last you hear from him when it comes to carrying out that dialogue about anything. He really don't like wasting his time explaining the things. But regardless of the fact that he sat down and he took the time to explain to me, and he was just saying that he going back into the field of learning another trade so he can go back into his community and do acts of servitude and helping the people out within his community and not charging them a dollar. How big is that? He said he already have enough. He said the money, he said, "Oh, I don't, there's nothing else that I want to bring into my world. I got everything that I need. I got my family, I got my loved ones, I got money, I own these things, blah, blah, blah. I got my tools, I do what I do. But what I want to do is go get further my education so I can help more people." So for me, when I hear these things impede me. Same thing with Sean Cotton said, you know what? If I don't come on this internet and I don't provide the service, I feel like I do the people a disservice. So what I'm saying is that I hear from a lot of successful people that are successful in their own right without the materialistic things. They right within here because they said I already got enough and they willing to help other people. I think that's the power of hearing these stories from these different people. They saying that, you know what, after I've acquired the thing, my next job is to go out there and help people. And they doing it from a position, not just chasing the dollar. Not saying that we don't need the money because we know that the money in this world that we live in, it creates opportunities. We could change more lives by acquiring the money. But what I'm saying is that when you're not doing it from a self-fulfilling perspective, saying that I want to be rich because I think I deserve to be rich and I don't want nobody else to be rich. When you build up a understanding within who you are within your community, you know your job, you know your role, you know your purpose. So I think that everything that we do, we can lead with that intention. Of course, we get our money. Of course, we get our coin. And of course, we go out there and provide. What I'm saying is that once you become familiar with who you are, there's nothing that's off the table that you can acquire. You can go out there and create the business, and then you can do philanthropy work on another note. You can find a way to drive the narrative to get your money to go provide for your family. Then there's other layers of work that you can do that other people will appreciate, and that you really can really connect and make an impact on other people's lives. So when I was seeing this thing, like I said, with Will Smith going around these different environments, um, there was one guy from New Guinea, and he was he was understanding that the other brother from the trenches, his land was is going to be underwater in due time. So the brother, he was messing with Will Smith throughout the whole segment, right? And she's joking with him. And Will Smith said, "Yo, this guy right here reminds me of my grandmother because they say things that um that would stick with you for a very long time. They have a way of saying things. Their character, they have a way of joking, but being really, really authoritative in their approach, and they're very serious when they talk. They joke, they do a lot of joking around, but serious. Like when they speak, you really, really have to listen because there's so many hidden gems from what they say, even if it's in a joking manner. There's so many things that you can extract from it, from them just shedding their way of wisdom. So the same brother was joking. You see him smiling throughout the whole segment. But when it came to that part about the brother from Inusi in the trench from the island for what they called it, he sat down and he started to break down crying. And he kept begging the other people, like, listen, I want your culture, I want your family, I want your peoples to come with us to our land because this land is going under. And the brother down there crying. And I felt that pain because he like, yo, listen, man, like there's nothing I can do to offer to change your circumstances. But you got to be willing to go too. I know sometimes we got to leave some of these things behind in order to move forward. But how do we hold on to some of these things that are valuable to us? How do we find a way to move forward in our lives, leaving some of the things that we love behind and still be able to carry the torch of culture, customs, language? How do we do that? That's like us in the real world of where we are in our lives right now. There are things that were taught to us, things that we've seen, things that we watched in our own homes, in our own environment that we feel like this is near dear to me. I want to carry this with me, but I know that this right here may not be good with me. So although I love it, I gotta let this go, but still carry some of the culture, customs, insights through my next future endeavors. How do you find that right balance to do so? How do we get comfortable enough to do that? Why do I always have to be like I said for me? When Ed used to tell me, "Yo, Johnny, just chill, you edgy." How do I take that same tenacity, that with me to the next levels? That means I could be more level. I could take that same drive in the next fields of expertise that I choose to drive my innovation in, and my skill set, and utilize my leverage. So I don't got to take the bravado. I don't got to take the I wanna challenge everybody in that manner. How about I take that challenge and transfer that to a different energy from within self and say, you know what? How about you challenge you? Stop challenging other people, right? Stop looking at everybody else up and down and wanting to challenge everybody you see in the streets. How about you challenge yourself to do the hard things? How about you challenge yourself to do the things that make you uncomfortable? How about you challenge yourself to go out there and really put your skill set to the test? Then now we're talking because you're gonna get more growth out of you challenging you, looking yourself in the mirror. That's where the real challenge coming at. So while we constantly looking at other people to challenge, how about we challenge ourselves? That's the biggest challenge. That's the biggest challenge because we got to face each other. We got to face you. Got to face you every day. You take you everywhere you go. You can't run from you. Other people can go and pass, and you can win the stare down battle, right? You can win the stare down battle in that one interaction. But how do you win that stare down battle within you? Every day you wake up, you gotta look yourself in that mirror. How do you do that? These are the challenges that I'm seeking in my life. I can't speak for everybody else. Some people may not see that as an issue or being bravado. Some people like, I'm super past. I don't need that type of energy. I'm cool. I'm cool as the other side of the pillow, man. You think about the things that I don't think about, right? But there's some things out there that you can think about to bring the best out of you. And the question is, are you thinking about those things to bring the best out of you, or are you just doing everything top notch? Because if you're doing everything great, I definitely need you on my team, right? I need whatever you do great, and you still excelling, and you say, yo, I'm at the top of the game, can't nobody beat me. If you're already there, I need to know what it is to get there. So I need your insight. I need your perspectives. I need your thoughts. I need your mind because I need to learn because I know for me, I'm not there yet. And I know even once I get there, when I feel like it, there's still more work to do because there's still more room for growth. My mom says that all the time. My mom said, I know this thing. I know I can make that better. When my mom do things, right? She says, yeah, although this is good, but I know there's still more room for growth. I could do this thing right here better. So that's a constant reminder with me. Although I've done the thing, but did I do it better? A kill? Did I put that extra ingredient? Did I try a new sauce? Did I get innovative? Did I, do things that made me a little bit uncomfortable or stretch myself? Okay, I made a plate for one person. Can I make a plate for 50? Can I do catering now? Maybe my job doesn't entail me to do catering. I only had to worry about one person per plate, only one plate per person. But now how do I prepare for 50? It takes a different level of thinking. It takes a different level of preparation. It takes a different sequencing of time management. Okay, can I get 50 plates out that are warm? Or is the food going to come out cold? How do I prepare that first meal like it's my last? And my last meal like as if it's my first? And have the equal taste across the spectrum? How can I do these things? Is there a way to do it? Oh, for sure. There's people that cater for basketball teams, sporting events, stadiums. Imagine going to a stadium where they have 50,000 seating event. But they got, what they do? They okay, we understand this. Let's have multiple vendors or multiple stations where people can go get food instead of one line. Imagine 50,000 people standing on one line to get a hot dog or a burger or some fries or whatever. The game will be on. The next game will come on the following week, and then the week after, you sitting there for 3 weeks to get, something from the concession stand. So they found more innovative ways. How about we set up multiple areas where people can go and get, you know, their food. I think that's our approach when it comes to us doing things. Part of it is delegation. How do we delegate the roles for people around us so we can be the best versions of ourselves? So where we can offer more, we can do more acts of servitude. We can bring more into our world by being able to do philanthropy work. Or say, you know what, I have enough empathy in me to care about somebody else on the island that I know the island is going under. That could be us seeing those blind spots in other people in their lives. Because we know what, I've been down our road before. I've seen what it's like when you have that drive taken out of you. I've seen when you got abused mentally, physically, spiritually. I've seen where people took advantage of that. You may have been in those positions, maybe you have witnessed it, but you know what to look for. You see the signs. So now that you see the signs, how do you impede and how do you make that situation better? Are there things that you have learned along your journey that can help other people? Of course. Of course. There's so many things that you can offer people. Your presence alone is powerful. You being able to stand up, knowing the conditions that you have gone through. Because people look at your testimony without you saying anything. And if you're able to still stand on your own too, power, power. People may not say it, but that's an act of strength because you was willing to get up when you got knocked down. That's an act of strength. That's an act of fortitude. That shows so many things about your character because you was able to build that up from within. And then now outwardly you're showing. So we able to connect on so many different levels. I was watching this episode and I keep reiterating it because it drew me back to be really, really appreciative and not taking these things for granted. It put me back into the perspective of go out there and work, put the work in, be disciplined, have acts of obedience, making sure that I do the thing every day and get better at it and make sure that I be able to connect in ways to make sure I help other people because that's my job. I was put here to do that. Now I recognize I found the voice. I found the way that I can connect because I'm speaking from a pure place. That's the only way I know how to live, right? There were times where I wasn't doing that. I was being misleading. There's times I was being a manipulator, being somebody that told lies. I was folk telling. I wasn't really telling the truth. I was being somebody that wasn't transparent. I told people what I want them to know on a need to know basis and blah. And I get that everybody don't need to know your business, but if you building people around you that you know, love, like, and trust, you have to be able to build that communication with one another. Because if we here to hold each other down and making sure that we got each other backs, we need to know what's going on with each other. How's your mental state for the day? How you thinking? How you feel emotionally? Okay, do you feel like okay, there's something or you looking to hurt or help where are you mentally? Okay, how can we get around this? How can we exercise this? How can we transfer this energy that's a bunch of negativity that's stirred up around us right now? How can we bottle this up and put it to somewhere of use to where we can actually get the maximum benefit from it? Okay, that edginess right now. How can we maximize that energy? Because all energies it's subjective. That extra roughness, it's not a bad quality. Just because you edgy, that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. That means that emotion stirred up, and we got to find a way to put that to use. So, okay, how do we take that edginess today? Okay, let's go to the gym and hit the bag. Let's go run, let's go exercise. Let's push ourselves and maybe something physical or mentally challenging. That's how you get the maximum growth out of that energy that you just stirred up. So all it is about delegation, like we talked about earlier. How do I delegate this emotion? Not just the personnel, not just to delegate the person, the people that's doing their thing at the height, right? How about you delegate? How do you delegate your emotions? How you put your emotions to use? Once we start understanding who we are, we can do those things. You know what? Today I feel a little bit of this. I feel like this today. Why is that? Where's this coming from? Okay, you know what? You know what? I need to go in there and maybe just relax my mind. I feel a little bit stressed. Let me do something to decrease the stress. Let's go meditate. Let's go walk. Let's go listen to some soothing music. Let's change the hurts. Let's change the because they call it hemi hemi sync hemi sync. You think you put it? I think it's hemi sync if I'm not mistaken, right? But it's a certain frequency of music that shows how it can alter the mood of a person, right? So this day and age, we have a lot of music that frequency that actually builds up cortisol and builds up stress. Down, what's up, loved one? So it builds up a lot of cortisol, builds up a lot of stress. The music, right? I think it's called semi. It's called semi hermetic. Something I can't think of the name, right? But long story short, there's different frequencies. So what I'm saying is that if you are in a stressed environment, they call it like lo-fi music. Lo-fi music is pretty much that frequency where it's below. You know what? I written it down somewhere too. You know what? Have hold that thought 1 second. I've written it down because I'd love to take some notes. But let me just give this. Where are we? Where are we? Are we? Okay, this okay. So I learned this from Big Homie CC. This is something that's unrelated but related. So Big Homie CC said that past 40 megahertz, you can be programmed through music. Think about that. Anything past 40 megahertz, you can be programmed through music. Program. So this is where they do things where they program in their minds. There was a kid, this is maybe, I forgot how many years ago, at least 8 years ago. This is when we had a recording studio, right? And I was watching something on about a kid that end up having life in prison. Semi-harmonious. Semi-harmonious. That's what Dom said. Yeah, that's what it called. Yep. Semi-harmonious. That's what it is. The sequencing of music and frequency. So the kid said that he ended up doing life in prison because he had unalived his parents. So they like, well, how did you get there? What was your childhood like? Were you abused? It was asking him a whole bunch of sequences, a whole bunch of sequence of questions, trying to figure out why did this kid unalive his parents. And then the kid said, I don't know. He said, all I remember is me listening to this music, and it made me just blank out, and it made me just it felt like the music was telling me to go out there and do something to my parents. So people can say, well, huh? What are you talking about? But this is a scientific fact that past 40 megahertz, you can be programmed through the music. So when they talk about MK Ultra, when they talk about programming, when they talk about all of these, projects that they did when they worked on the mind control, MK Ultra, the Mind Talk project right here in Long Island, Mind Talk project right out there in Mind Talk. Some of these TV series what we see far as like the Stranger Things, that little girl, what's the girl name Stranger Things? 11, the girl 11. They say that 11 was reenacting actual another personnel. I've seen it on Instagram. But long story short, what is the name? Millie Bobby Brown. But there's so many things where you can draw the connection of saying that there are mind control things. So you wonder why you have jingles about around surrounding around food and things to get people to remember. People remember songs and jingles, etc. So they do a lot of science around these things. So what I'm saying is that we can easily be programmed if we on the wrong frequency. We listening to the wrong music. We had the wrong energy around us. We watching the wrong things. All of these things are programming. So how we see the world is pretty much, and how we experience it is pretty much based on our intake. The things that we are seeing, the things we are watching, the things we are listening to. So if there are people around you that are talking things that don't align with who you are in spirit and where you're trying to go, you have to remove yourself from the conversation. If there are people saying things that don't align with your spirit, you got to remove yourself from the conversation. If there's things on television that you are watching that is causing you to have more anxiety, causing you more stress, we can't watch these things because subconsciously our minds and our bodies can't tell the difference from reality or fictional. And this is where things can get really, really scary. And we're saying, well, why is this person acting out? Or why am I feeling ill? And I can't really describe it because all of our hormones are out of whack and our everything is just off course. My cousin Dom says, was this a wide, vast study or just interrupted minds? Um, I've so I give the source. So this is my first time with the semi harmonious music. My brother put me onto this. I found out the lo-fi. I've done study on this, and I understand this frequency to be tracked and studied and official. When we talked about the kid situation, I'm only explaining from what the child said himself when he was interviewed by the authorities. He just said that it was in the music. So a lot of times we don't understand. Well, we take this as an example. We see the drill music, the drill scene, right? How many children are being unalived through gun violence? And he said, well, what's driving this narrative? Beef on beef. It's the music. Is the music, the frequency in the music, not just about what they saying, but the frequency. When they go on drills, when they go on out there and they want to go do these things, it's driving them to do something that they don't really have awareness of because their body's just responding to that energy, to that frequency, to that those hurts. It's altering their thought process. So certain neurons in their brains are not connecting. Certain things are disconnecting, right? There are on and off switches that's turning on, okay, certain levels of cortisol versus, you know, certain things turning on and off in that aspect. Dom says, I feel that if there is an imbalance already, then you can be affected easily. Absolutely, family. Environment, cuz absolutely. I agree 110% with you. 110% with you. If there's an imbalance, listen to that. That's powerful. I feel that if there is an imbalance already, you can be affected easily. Mm, 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 mm. Environment. Whew. Think about that. How many disturbed minds, interrupted minds are out there? How many interrupted minds? Signal to noise ratio. How many people out there are distracted and caught up already in the whirlwind of trauma, of pain, of hurt? How many people are caught up in that wave of just being abused? So their mind's already interrupted. So when you put something in front of them that causes more disorder and that chaos, this is when you get the crash outs. This is where you get the crash outs. Exactly. Too many distractions. Absolutely, family. So that's why it's important for us to make sure that we build those environments, those safe havens, so we can have open communication. A lot of times we can't even talk to some of our loved ones or people for that other matter. Because it's like, well, why? Sometimes you feel like, well, why would I waste my energy? Because ain't nobody listening. That's how we feel at times. But then we got to realize, be like, you know what? No, I have to say these things because whether people listen or not, I know this is of value. Maybe they just caught up in the whirlwind because I was there too. I know what it's like to be a child, not to want to hear anything nobody else had to say. There were times where I told my mother, like, I still feel ashamed as a grown man, where there are times where I disrespected her because I was caught up out there, and everybody know my mother, right? Beautiful soul. But there were times where I disrespected her, came out my face. They like you as much. That's why I show a unlimited amount of love now because I know the value of having a person in your corner that love you unconditionally, and she happens to be my mother. So what I say is that everybody's situation ain't the same, but if you have people in your life that you can say that you love and they love you equally or more, then you got to be able to cherish those relationships. So I know there are things that I've done that I wasn't super proud of being immature because I wasn't aware. So as I matured and I said, you know what? Okay, no, I have a responsibility to be this way, whether people agree with me or they disagree. I know I have a responsibility to be a righteous person. I have a responsibility, whether nobody listen, still preach positivity. I see things out there where people may challenge who I am. I know that. I see it. I see it. Not to bring up anything, but I know when people say things about me. I know when people target. I know when people say subliminal. I see it, but I pay no. I see it, but I really don't pay no attention because that's not what my energy carries. So I still continuously every time something I see that doesn't feed my spirit right, I turn it off. I don't. Yeah, you only get a lot of negative energies from a different from various places, but you have the option with your own discretion to tune in to tune out. So what I do, I tune out because I know I know my spirit, I know my energy, I know the things I'm tapped into is way higher. Like you said, oh, took the words in my mouth, Annie. You're on a higher frequency. Absolutely, loved one. Low vibrational things that I'm not really with. It don't feed my spirit the right way because I know what those things lead to. Sometimes it could be the negativity that I'm tapped into, and then now I feel like I gotta revert back to at one point in time who I thought my ideology was, who I thought I was as that character. I felt like, okay, now I gotta be bravado again. And the last time I done that, I ended myself in prison, fully transparent. When I thought that I could conquer the world and there'll be no consequences, I wanted people to feel my pain. So I felt, you know what, let me take retribution out on another personnel. I've done that. And then it ended me in prison. So I'm like, oh, you're not gonna trick me on my spot, not like that. No, 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 no. We're not doing that. I've been there before. I know what that looks like. See, people that haven't been there, no pun intended, they don't know what it's like to lose in that capacity, to be so close but disconnected. I know what that feel like. I know what it feels like to be so close to my loved ones and still disconnected because I'm divided by a wall. I know that. I know, and for me, you know. So I try not to put myself in spaces to where it would jeopardize or ruin who I am because I built so much up to get to where I'm at. And this ain't this on a, this is on when in the future you're still going to be tested. There are gonna be energies around you that don't want to see you be a success because they're gonna feel like you're not worthy of it. They're gonna say, well, why does he or she deserve that? They didn't do this, they didn't do that. They don't know your hardships, they don't know the road that you paved, they don't know the obediences that you have, not sacrifices, but out of obedience, how disciplined you are in your practices. And all this is doing is just feeding that spirit that you already possessed and want to go on out there to do more beneficial things. It's hard to see when you're not. It's hard to see when you don't have the glamour and glit. When you're not icy, fresh, and all that, and all those things. It's hard to see the good deeds. People only focus on the good deeds when you look like you're shining. I heard something from the smart guy. The smart guy say I have to throw jewelry on and stuff and to go in my communities at time because when I come out there and I dress regular, they look at my voice as if something that's not to be valued because they're looking at the aesthetic, they're looking at the outside appearances because that's what my environment is attracted to. They attracted to the nice cars, they attracted to the nice women, they attracted to the jewelry, they attracted to these things. So I have to come around sometimes in the environment just to do feed the baby the medicine within the food and the applesauce. You know, giving the applesauce tastes good, but I got the medicine in between it. So he said he had to do the same thing when he go back to his community. He got to dress the part just to make sure that he get the voices so he can get the ears from the kids that he want to impact. Dom says, I love and appreciate what you do, but I stopped in on a break. I had to get back to class. Peace. I love you. I love you. I love you, cousin. Get back to class, get that real estate situation right. Do what you got to do. I love you. And I can't wait till you. Oh, we'll talk about it. I love you unconditionally, family, and I love you for stopping in. You just drove this conversation in a way that you know we all can benefit from. So I love you unconditionally. Man, that was powerful. See, this is what I love about having these open forums because there's so many things that we are attracted to and disconnected from. And being able to realize what these things are allow us to grow. It's about the growth. It's about starting where you are, not where nobody else is, starting where you are, right? And finding your voice, finding your voice. Your voice, it don't have to be on a public forum. Your voice can you just accepting who you are and saying, you know what, I got something of value. I got something to say. I got something to present. You affecting one person, you done your job. Starting with self. If you're able to change you, you won already. If you're able to change your thoughts, your perspectives, and approach life from a different perspective, that's a winner. That's not a lost soul. We gain the soul back. We know there's so many people out there that are lost souls because they're not able to change who they are because environment took them over, friendships took them over, relationships took them over, uh the bad woes of decision making took them over, and they surrounded themselves around the energies, the thoughts, the visions, the people, places, and things. All of these things is what kind of handicap because they couldn't see past that. They wasn't, or they didn't have the opportunity to work through these things, or didn't have people around them to champion them. Or even though we don't necessarily need the pats on the back, but we got to find ways to feed our spirit in the right direction. So even if you don't have mentors, there's internet mentors. There's people you can watch on the internet to see, you know what, ooh, I love what he or she does because they have discipline in this area. Or they acquired the thing right here. And I know I could bring this up and make this, I can add this to who I am, and I could be able to impact for the better for me and future people I'll come in contact with. So sometimes the examples I put in the books. I was watching Payroll from Payroll Giovanni from the D, and he was on. I watch a lot of things, right? But he had said something about he like, man, I didn't know how much was in these books. He just recently done a movie, and he just put together his self tour, successful. And he said there's so many things that I tried and failed at, man. He said, but one thing I learned is that he said I've been watching a lot of people that acquired wealth, and he said one thing that they all had in common is that they read. They read books. He said before when I first started reading books, it was a struggle. I could not connect. He said, man, but when you start reading the books, man, they got a lot of gems in them. There's a lot of things that's in these books that the average person don't get a chance to experience because it takes a lot of discipline to sit down with yourself for 20, 30 minutes. Most people are too busy. So that's why we can't get the things done that's necessary in order to push us forward to those next levels. So many examples out there. And I use my life and I use my experiences and I use the things that I watch, see, intake as the examples of what I need to do or what not to do. Sometimes it's not about just repeating what other people do. It's about, where's that innovation come from? Where does that spark come from to allow me to want to be better? Sometimes it's not the things that they do. It's about, how about I don't do that? I seen what type of road that leads other people down. I don't want to go down that road. And that's the strength and the power that you have already. Man, Man, we was gone today. It's been it's been a powerful, powerful episode. We gonna cut it there. This is our 49th episode, man. I love everybody that tapped in today. It's been a powerful, powerful build. There's so many things that we can, continuously expound on. But what I mainly want to do is connect with oneself, connect with you, connect with yourself. Make sure that you're able to accept yourself. My brother Shab saying earlier, to be able to look in that mirror is a powerful thing. Absolutely right. Being able to accept yourself is powerful. So start there. Before we change the world, we can't change the world unless we change ourselves. So change yourself for the better. And then as you become in a work in progress, extend your hands and your arms and your minds and your thoughts and your perspectives because other people are watching, they are listening, and they be attracted to it as well. Blessings, blessings. 100 Wave King. Absolutely love one, babe, bro in the building. 100 Wave, the wave is in the building. The boy Mr. Put the SHIT on, you dig? Yes, sir, babe, bro in the building. I love you. I love everybody here. Keep striving. Don't let nobody tell you different. You are powerful. And that's the thing that they don't want us to recognize our strength from within. So we're gonna put everything that's outwardly to make sure to ensure that we validate it through the outside things and don't understand that all your power and all your strengths, where the validation come from, it's right here, right here. Keep validating yourself when it comes to your mind, your thoughts, and your perspectives. Keep building upon it and keep building from within, from that heart. Once again, it's been a powerful build. If you hear, you come in contact with this at some various time, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, go thumb up these videos. We need them thumbs up. Go on to YouTube, all of the platforms, and just keep spreading the message of love. I love you, King. Love you more, babe, bro. Absolutely, man. I've been super pumped, super static, and this is another dope one in the bag. Next week, we're going on our 50th episode. I'm happy. So we here. And it's gonna be another dope episode next week. We'll be back for more. Next week, come up with your drip check, man. I'm gonna see what they got on. Hope you got that doggy on, man. Hope you got the SHIT on, man. Hope you got that raw, man. I want to see what that fit that you coming in with next week, man. I want to hear what people got on, man. So I'm pumped. Next week we'll be in the building, same time, 7 o'clock. I will see you soon. Respectfully.